Okay, good morning, everyone. We're going to get started with Cardinals manager Mike Shildt. First question from Mike.
Excuse me? Do I have a what? I do not. I feel great. Oh, no. Yeah, thanks.
And
Mike, if you do force a Game 5, have you thought about a starter for, I guess Wednesday would be?
Jack. I think that's pretty clear. Look forward to it.
How does this morning play out for you guys? Do the Braves let you know who they're starting? Do you care? Do you have the same lineup regardless of who they start? I know we now know who.
Yeah.
How that worked for you?
No, we set the lineup. We had a pretty good sense of what was going on, regardless of who they were going to start, what our lineup would look like.
With the expectation that Jack would start Game 5, would there be a scenario today where he would be available out of your bullpen, or will you hold him regardless?
I think that'd be pretty unreasonable to think he would be out of our bullpen today, but we've got a very good bullpen that's well rested, so never say never. Elimination game, but you're talking about a couple of days, 100 pitches, so don't want to compromise our game for Wednesday.
It's been a little more than 12 hours since the end of yesterday's game. Where are you in the evaluation process as to what you do if you have a lead in the 9th inning today?
There'll be a conversation. I just want to make sure Carlos's head's in the right place. Make sure he's in the right frame of mind. I'm not worried about Carlos's stuff. It's about his execution, making sure he's making the quality of pitches and his head's in a present state of mind.
Just kind of exploring that a little bit more when you talk about his frame of mind. Is it some of the stuff he's getting into with Acuna, or is it more
just in general, making sure he's in the right place to make pitches and compete in the moment? I think that's a residual thing that's clearly got a little bit of life, and necessary or unnecessary, whatever that looks like. I'm not a big distraction person, so just making sure he's in a good place mentally.
Obviously, you got to get the base runners on first and foremost, but once your base runners are on, have you guys reevaluated, or how do you sort through what Atlanta's done in terms of their run game, in particular with the movements, the pickoffs and things like that? What kind of effect does that have on you guys?
Well, we got to get the runners on. I mean, we don't want the opportunities. I think you're alluding to the inside move with Bader yesterday. We were able to grab the first bag off Keuchel the other day with Harrison that led to a run that ended up being a big run. It is a big part of our game. Chicago, towards the end of the year, was very much more intentional about picking, inside move, double, triple picking. So, yeah, we're aware of that. We still pick our spots. That was O'Day's first inside move of the year. So, the one thing I appreciate about competition is when you get your opponent to do something they don't want to do or to counteract what you're trying to do, you're typically winning in that competition. So while we may not be able to take a bag, not to say we won't, but we've also, we didn't run as much in the Chicago series either. But what you've noticed, and we didn't run as much in the Arizona series because, again, a lot of picks. But there's a residual benefit of that. How many balls have been down the right field line because people having to pick over and over and over? 5. So those are extra bases. There also is the mental distraction that comes with having to throw over or inside move or worried about runners that can and typically can lead to a lack of execution with a displaced concentration with a pitch to the plate. So we still see residual benefit. And to your question, we haven't run blindly all year. We led the league in stolen bases, tied with Washington, and high percentage, one of the highest in organizational history. So we'll still be smart about it like we have been all year and use it as a weapon in a couple of different ways.
Mark.
We got to get guys on.
Speaking of that, when you got the first 2 guys on in the 8th off of Fried, it seems like 10 years ago most managers would have bunted there. I don't. First of all, can Is that in Paul DeYoung's skill set, and how much consideration did you give to it there?
Gave it consideration for sure. So Paulie walks more against against lefties, high walk rate against lefties. You got a guy that just walked twice. You know, I don't know how many years ago guys would have probably bunted. You know, Paul hadn't done it all year. I can take some responsibility for that. He's also got 30 homers and is hitting the middle of our lineup pretty much all year. And also 10 years ago, if you'd have got a guy in a 2-0 count that hit 30 homers, I don't know how many guys would have been bunting with 30 homers 10 years ago. 30 homers, you know, maybe not equal to what happened with, you know, it's another discussion. But you got a guy like that in a 2-0 count, he's not bunting. More than likely, he's swinging the bat. So I can appreciate the question. Again, we had some thoughts about what we could be able to do on the bases. You know, also Paulie's a high walk guy against lefties, a guy that's walked 2 guys in a row. Paulie's a fly ball hitter, so not really at risk of the double play. If he does hit a deeper fly ball, you got 2 guys that can tag, especially in Harrison. And we feel like, you know, we could have done something on the bases and didn't mind our matchups after that. So really, there was about 7 things that were pro letting him hit and didn't work out. As simple as that, you know.
The back.
But there was definitely some solid logic behind it.
Mike, when you have a young pitcher like Dakota go in today, is there anything as a manager that you have to be watchful for or guard against? For example, is there a tendency maybe for a young pitcher to go out there and feel like they have to be too perfect?
Yeah, I mean, in general, that can be a tendency for sure. So there'll be attention to how he's competing, just like, you know, all our guys. There can be that tendency, but I'm fully confident Dakota will go out and he'll pitch to his game. You know, Dakota said this, and it's really been impressive, and his work has mimicked it as well. He's not going to make the situation bigger than it is. You know, he's just going to go out and pitch, and he actually enjoys the fact there's more people paying attention and watching. But end of the day, it's the same baseball he's thrown since he was young, and he has that mindset and approach, and it'll serve him well today.
With Marcell Ozuna, what are some things you're seeing in his approach that have been so effective in this series so far? At bat.
Not trying to do too much. You know, he's getting, you know, and I think our approach has been really good, and it's hard to sit there and say that and feel good about it. We talked about it this morning. You know, we didn't chase a ton yesterday on Soroka. We were mostly got pitches we could hit, you know, not a ton of them. But I think that's what Marcel's been able to do. He's, you know, like his balance. He's seeing the ball well. You can see his takes. He's just, you know, he's not jumping at the ball, staying within himself, letting the ball come to him. So, and then just trying to put a good swing on it. And that's a good sign. And so, just continue to do that.
Mike, knowing that Keuchel's going to be on short rest today, is there any alteration to the way that you would attack him versus an average day, whether that's trying to work him deeper or maybe thinking he'll be more aggressive early and trying to jump that in some fashion?
You know, listen, we've talked about this, and it's a good question. All year, you know, that whole debate, we've been in multiple times where we sit there and like, oh man, we're going to wait this guy out, we're going to wait this guy out, wait this guy out, and we get the guy to a high pitch count in the 5th, but we haven't really done any damage. And then we've done some things where we, you know, ultimately gets down to a philosophy that I don't think is uncommon, but is definitely ours, and that is we want to get good pitches, you know, and if we get a good pitch early in the count, put a good swing on it, we've had a good at bat. If that happens to be later in the count, but I think it can be a mistake to sit there and try to wait a guy out, especially a guy that's a pitch maker like Keuchel, and sit there and try to figure out a way to get his pitch count up and be in counts that aren't favorable, and then get to a situation where you're starting to having to put his pitch in play. You know, if you get late in the count, maybe you have to do that, but we don't want to do that early in the count just for the sake of trying to worry about getting him out of a game or affect anything on short rest.
Derek.
This probably follows in line then with to talk about how you guys are pleased with your approach, but also the way now. Does it strike you at all, and do you know any reason behind no walks by either of the starters the past couple? It's 14 innings and not a free pass. That that's unusual for y'all.
It is unusual for us, and it really does speak to the pitching we've seen. I mean, you know, the guys, Fulton Edge was really good. You know, he was as good as he's probably been all year that we've seen. Soroka was really good. You know, I mean, he was around the plate. Breaking ball was good. A lot of late movement. You know, I didn't feel like there's a lot of opportunities until, like you said, we get into the 8th and we get Fried in there, and then you start to see a guy that's a little bit scattering the ball, and you saw guys being able to take. I'd be more inclined to be have some level of frustration or displeasure if, you know, those guys were bouncing balls or scattering balls, or, you know, we were chasing a whole lot, but we're just not. So, you know, we'll continue to take our approach, be convicted with it, and, you know, we got to do a better job of taking good swings on the balls that are out over the plate, and that's the key to this thing. And then we'll probably get more guys, you know, nibbling a little bit, and then we'll look to be more patient there.
Any last ones for Mike? All right, thank you very much. See you post game.
Appreciate it. All right, have a good day.